Everything's ready in Venezuela for the swearing-in of President Nicolas Maduro for the 2025-2031 term this Friday. In the United States, the death toll rises to 10, and more than 10,000 structures burned after the active fires in Los Angeles since last Tuesday. A research revealed that the death toll from Israel's genocidal war against the Palestinian people is far higher than the current international estimates. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news, and we do so in Venezuela. All is being ready for the inauguration this Friday, January 10th, of President Nicolas Maduro for his third consecutive term. For that, we are going straight live to Caracas in Venezuela with our correspondent, Belén de los Santos, for all the details of what is happening today on this occasion.
Hello, Luis. Exactly. We are here in Caracas, exactly from the Yaguno Bridge in downtown Caracas. And this is very early in the morning, a regular Friday morning. But this sector of the city is with high expectations because just a few blocks away is going to take place today the presidential inauguration of President Nicolas Maduro, who was elected on July 28th, presidential elections. And today, January 10th, is the presidential inauguration. That means that the third mandate of President Maduro begins officially today as he is swearing in before the National Assembly. So let's recall a little bit how we get to this day. So according to the Constitution, the authorities from the National Assembly, the new authorities for the new legislative period that were reinstated and reconfirmed on Sunday are taking President Maduro's oath, and this is happening as it always happens in the National Assembly that is just a few blocks away. So this is a normal day here in Caracas with all the security measures, of course, that mark this important day. The streets otherwise are calm. We come from a day of demonstrations that was yesterday in Caracas. So Thursday, as you know, as we have been reporting here from Venezuela, it was a day of peaceful demonstrations. People took to the streets. We had reports from all over the city, also from all over the country, with people coming out in support of this institutional day. One of the most important things to keep in mind is that this swearing-in ceremony, this presidential inauguration, is a key step in reaffirming the institutionality and just the normal peace of the city, of the country, something that has been on the spotlight internationally. And this is a very important thing to point out from here. That is why we are out on the streets. That is why we are reporting. Of course, any swearing-in ceremony has a lot of media attention, but we know that with Venezuela, that takes a particular twist. And it's important to reinstate that here in Caracas we are out and that everything is going according to normal. The demonstrations yesterday were massive, and what is happening today has to do with the beginning of this third 6-year mandate for President Nicolas Maduro. Also, an important thing to point out is the international presence at this event. So one of the things that the President Nicolas Maduro for the past month since the elections up to this moment has been reinforcing is the idea of making Venezuela the epicenter of an international fight against fascism, against the far right. Of course, this have been tough months for Venezuela in terms of the media and international pressure from the violent actions after the presidential elections onward. And a way to respond to this international pressure has been, on the one hand, and the internal front, to go back to the people, to the communes, so reinforcing the popular power here in the country with the popular consultations, with the true sense of democracy, that is the democracy of the peoples, with different political activities that have to do with taking back that power that is really the mandate of the people, and also on an international level, just gathering all the international support in the face of these far-right attempts and international pressures from media campaigns, for example, and the international anti-fascism Congress, for example, that have been going on, are gathering here today now again for the swearing-in ceremony, and that is the International Anti-Fascist Festival that is also going on. So we have activities on the streets. We are, of course, this is very early in the morning, but Caracas is expected to have all the people back again on the streets today. We have sound checks, we have posts waiting for the people to arrive. This is about to be yet another popular party, as it was yesterday as well. And the international guests are also here to continue their anti-fascist festival. So that is happening here in Caracas. We will continue reporting along the day. We are here to bring you the latest on Venezuela in this presidential inauguration. Luis, I go back to you now.
Thank you, Belen, for all those details. We will stay, of course, in touch to continue following up everything that is happening in Venezuela in this important day of the inauguration of President Nicolas Maduro. Let's continue with our news. In this context of the preparations today, the governor of the state of Táchira, Freddy Bernal, announced the temporary closure of the border with Colombia from this Friday, January 10th, through Monday, January 13th.
Saludos Venezuela, saludos Táchira.
Greetings Venezuela, greetings Táchira. We have worked a lot to achieve in this beautiful land of Táchira, guarantee security and peace. A state that for many years has suffered the siege of paramilitary Colombian groups. In this occasion, we have information of an international conspiracy to disturb the peace of Venezuelans, and especially in this area in the border. In that sense, I make a call to understand of all social sectors, farmers, businessmen, entrepreneurs, and the people that normally go and come from Venezuela and Colombia, that understand why we're gonna close the border of Colombia from 5 a.m. today until 5 a.m. on Monday. Be certain that we have absolute control of the state, and we will guarantee, under any circumstance, tranquility and peace of all the people of Táchira. The chairman of the State Duma of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation, Vyacheslav Volodin, is already in Venezuela to represent his nation at the swearing-in ceremony of re-elected President Nicolas Maduro. Venezuela and Russia share extensive bilateral ties in multiple areas of common interest. Therefore, the Russian representation in the country is paramount for both nations. The Russian head of state, Vladimir Putin, was one of the first leaders to congratulate the triumph of President-elect Maduro on July 28th. Later, they met in the framework of the BRICS summit held in the Russian city of Kazan, where Putin referred again to the electoral triumph of his counterpart and commended the Venezuelan people. And in Caracas, Venezuela, the World Festival of Anti-Fascist International began on Thursday. More than 2,000 delegates from 5 continents participate in the first day of the event that started with a speech by the Executive Vice President Delcy Rodriguez. Details for our special envoy, Yunus Uner.
The La Carlota Convention Center received the delegates with music and dance, but in her opening speech, Executive Vice President Delcy Rodriguez warned of the importance of the Anti-Fascist International.
It is the time that humanity has called to fight together against fascism. There is no other moment, there is no other day, because if we postpone this struggle for one day only, there might be no more humanity, no peoples left. Only the corporations will remain that have taken over the states and the lives of human beings.
The Anti-Fascist International initiative emerged in November 2024 with the aim of creating a powerful global structure against fascism, neo-fascism and Zionism. The festival today represents continuity.
Seeing comrades that we met in November being able to exchange, see what different groups have been up to, the different solidarity activities. In Britain, we've organised a protest outside The Guardian in solidarity with Palestine and Venezuela, so it's been good to tell people about that.
According to Delcy Rodriguez, Trump is a promoter of international fascism. Hence, beyond Venezuela, others took the anti-fascist event by heart.
El fascismo es una amenaza. Fascism is a threat. There is a threat in the north that makes fun of changing names that have been in place for more than 500 years, like the Gulf of Mexico.
Incluso los nombres que ya tienen más de 500 años, como es el Golfo de México, ¿no? El Festival Mundial Antifascista es...
The World Anti-Fascist Festival is an organization to generate the tools that help us defend ourselves and resist or combat this attempt.
A resistir o combatir esta intentona.
For Mexico, the solution is turning southwards, says Garcia. In the afternoon, the festival established working groups for various sectors, from youth to social movements, from native peoples to the group of parliamentarians. One was dedicated to women in the anti-fascist struggle, building an emancipatory feminism.
Hemos estado en una reunión tratando de avanzar.
We have been in a meeting trying to advance, let's say, from feminisms, which are multiple, which are plural, which are diverse, and that we are in all territories and on all continents. In what way from our political action as feminists we are going to contribute, and we are going to fight against fascism and neo-fascism around the world.
Contra el fascismo y los neofascismos en todo el mundo.
Another sub-event was the Third International Communication Congress that achieved concrete results, as its participants explain.
The main proposal and conclusion of this first day is the creation of a network of popular communicators to fight against fake news, to spread our truths in the face of the attack of imperialism.
Despite partly long trips to get to Caracas, participants were optimistic and grateful.
So I'm very happy, and congratulations and my compliments to have organized this first day. That we are tired because we arrive in the night at 3 in the morning, but very, very happy. So thank you so much to Venezuela government and to this whole organization. It has been a pleasure for me, and it's a pleasure for me to be here.
The World Festival for the Anti-Fascist International for a New World will continue until January 11. Yunus Soner, teleSUR, Caracas, Venezuela.
Before taking our first short break, we invite you to follow our special program dedicated to the upcoming presidential inauguration in Venezuela, only on teleSUR from January 9th to the 11th at 9 p.m. Caracas, at 8 p.m. New York, Havana, and Quito time. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In the United States, the death toll rose to 10 and more than 10,000 structures burned after the active fires in Los Angeles since last Tuesday. The latest fatalities correspond to the fire in the city of Palisades, an area where the average property value is around $3 million. According to the California Department of Fire Protection, to date, more than 11,000 hectares have been burned. In this regard, authorities have warned that the number of deaths may increase and that according to professional estimates, the material damage is between $135 and $150 billion. Recent information has confirmed the existence of a new fire known as Kenneth, which has quickly spread to some 323 hectares near the border of Los Angeles and Ventura. Kenneth has generated mandatory evacuation orders as well as considerable damage in several areas of the city and adds to the wave of active fires since January 7th. Palisades and Eaton fires remain uncontrolled, while authorities assure that the fire known as Sunset has been contained and has not caused major structural damage. The security strategy of the government of President Claudia Sheinbaum is showing its first results, such as the reduction of intentional homicides, the arrest of important criminal figures, and the increase in the seizure of drugs and weapons. Correspondent in Mexico, Antonio Aranda, has the details.
The Mexican government presented data confirming progress in security matters on the 100th day of the administration of President Claudia Sheinbaum.
With the preliminary figures we observe a decrease of 16.3% in the daily average of victims of intentional homicide between September and December 2024. In this period of government, 7,720 people have been arrested for different high-impact crimes. More than 66 tons of drugs have been seized. including 1,168 kilograms and 561,000 fentanyl pills, and more than 3,600 firearms have been seized.
In Sinaloa, one of the biggest security challenges, there are also important achievements.
In Sinaloa, a very important effort has been made to reduce violence. There is still a lot of work to do, but after the increase in homicides that began in December, today we can observe a containment in the escalation of homicides. In Culiacan, specifically, the reduction of homicides from October to December has been 35%.
The figures also show a significant decrease in femicides and intentional injuries, among other crimes.
Between September and December, we can also see a reduction in all these crimes. In femicides, minus 25.6%, intentional injuries and firearms, shooting and reduction of 19.7%, in extortion, minus 10.6%, all robberies with violence, minus 4.7%.
The most important indicator in favor of President Sheinbaum's security strategy is the reduction in intentional homicides, according to this specialist.
We are on the right track. On the one hand, the number of intentional homicides, which is the most important indicator, has decreased in most of the states, and on the other hand, 19 of the crimes listed in the national catalog have also experienced a decrease.
Institutional coordination and the dismantling of criminal protection networks are an important part of the security strategy.
It seems to me that at the moment, there is quite effective coordination not only between the federal secretariats, the Security Secretariat, the SEMAR, the SEDINA, but also with the governors, not only to capture the operators, the hit men, but also to dismantle the institutional protection networks, which seems very important to reduce the political and economic power of organized crime.
Security report confirms that 74% of firearms entering Mexico come from the U.S. and are sold to drug cartels. The Yes to Disarmament, Yes to Peace program will be reinforced by increasing the economic amount for people who voluntarily turn in their weapons.
Antonio Aranda, teleSUR, Ciudad de México.
And Peruvian social movements mobilized throughout the country to demand justice and honor to the 18 people killed during the massacre of Juliaca in 2023, following the appointment of Dina Boluarte as president. The mobilizations follow a call by the National Coordinator of Struggle in response to these injustices and abuses within the parameters of the crime against humanity. Those mobilized denounced the inefficiency of the authorities to respond to this case, despite the fact that the evidence demonstrates the violent acts committed by the Peruvian security forces. Artistic, cultural, and religious activities were carried out during the day in honor of the victims. And the Committee of Relatives of the Detained and Disappeared in Honduras, COFADE, presented an extension of accusations against former military leaders to the Public Prosecutor's Office. The coordinator of COFADE, Berta Otilia Olivia Guifarro, presented the extension against Romeo Vázquez Velázquez, Venancio Cervantes, and Carlos Puerto, as well as against former de facto President Roberto Micheletti, for their alleged responsibility in human rights violations during the 2009 coup d'etat. The retired generals are specifically accused of the murder of Isi Obed Murillo, considered a martyr of the Honduran resistance. In that sense, the case is being expanded to include 10 other people who were injured during the same day of repression. We now have a second short break coming up, but before, we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. A research published Thursday in the medical journal The Lancet revealed that the death toll for Israel's genocidal war against the Palestinian people is far higher than the current international estimates. Academics estimate that during the first 9 months of conflict, the death toll from the war in Gaza would have been 64,260, significantly higher than the 37,877 deaths reported by Palestinian authorities. These studies rely on Palestinian ministry statistics, an online survey, and social media obituaries to estimate that there had been between 55,298 and 78,525 deaths from traumatic injuries in Gaza at that time. It is important to note that the group of researchers estimated that 59% of the deaths encompass women, children, and the elderly, and that the figures refer only to death from traumatic injuries without including other causes of death. The government of the Democratic Republic of the Congo has reaffirmed its commitment to reclaim areas occupied by the M23 rebel movement after peace negotiations with Rwanda failed. Despite mediation efforts from Angola and other international actors, talks of peace with Rwanda have stalled. Later in a recent press conference, President Felix Tshisekedi emphasized the urgency of restoring control in the eastern part of the country, where M23 has captured key towns, exacerbating the humanitarian crisis and forcing widespread displacement. The M23 has further destabilized the region, increasing clashes and worsening security and living conditions in eastern DRC. And we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. Now we'll leave you with the winners of the reality show Factor M of the song for the campaign of President Nicolas Maduro. For teleSUR English, Luis Alberto Matos, thank you for watching.
¡Hey! ¡Venezuela! ¡Nos fuimos arriba! ¡Esta es mi patria querida! 2, 1, ¡brinca! Revolución con Nicolás. Revolución con Nicolás. El pueblo unido está en la lucha. Con Nicolás hacemos historia. El pueblo unido está en la lucha. Vamos para adelante con Nicolás. El pueblo unido está en la lucha. Con Nicolás hacemos historia. El pueblo unido está en la lucha. Vamos para adelante con Nicolás. Pa'lante Nicolás. Yo juro con Maduro, presidente de la paz. Pa'lante Nicolás. Por el pueblo, por la vida, un sentimiento nacional. El pueblo en la calle dice presente. Escucha el presidente, somos su gente. Estamos en la batalla contra la oligarquía, defendiendo la patria mía como Bolívar. El pueblo